Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today we have a review that is probably gonna be quite short because I read the book back in September and I forgot everything I wanted to say in my review. Obviously. I do once again have a good excuse. I've been moving for the past 3 months and uni started back up and I'm working almost full time and I had like 80 hours probably of work every week. But anyway, today we will be talking about He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan, which is the sequel of She Who Became the Sun and the second and last book in the Radiant Emperor duology. Now, I will leave my review of She Who Became the Sun down below, although fair warning, when I read She Who Became the Sun the first time, it was first of all a year where I read way too many books, and there were quite a few books where I was like, I'm probably not enjoying this right now because I'm reading too many books at the same time. And then there was also a thing with kind of wrong expectations for She Who Became the Sun, which led to me giving it 3 stars on my first read. However, even 2 years ago when I first read it, I said it's probably just right now, and probably when I reread it, it will be 5 stars. I reread She Who Became the Sun this August, and indeed, I did give it 5 stars. So let's talk about what the duology is about, although you probably already know if you watched the second review, I guess. So yeah, actually I don't really have to summarize it, but just as a reminder, in the first book ended with quite a few successes for our main character too, and some, can we call them successes? Kind of like a tragic turn / success in the story of our second main character, who is, what was his name again? General Ouyang, that was the name. So that's where we kind of left it. In the second book, we do get a third POV. My brain today is just dead. We get a third POV with, I forgot his name once again, but the prince. We get the POV of the prince in this book as well. So now we have 3 POVs and 3 stories we follow, and so let's get into it. I gave this second book 4 stars. It was a 5-star anticipated read, kind of, but I ended up giving it 4 stars because some of the narrative choices in the story were not my favorite and the ending wasn't the favorite. So yeah, in general, something that I wouldn't say struggle with, but something that I experience while reading those books is that I am not fully invested isn't the right way to put it, but the way I read both of these books, it was also the case with the reread of the first book, is I am very much not emotionally invested in the stories. I am very much emotionally distant from the stories, which I don't know why. I think probably because of a lot of tweets that I saw around He Who Drowned the World. I expected, even though I knew that even on the reread I wasn't necessarily that emotionally invested in the first book either. The way I read those books is very much, you know, very brainy, very much up here intellectually, whatever. That's how I enjoy these books. But with how many tweets I saw of this book, I expected once again to be more emotionally invested than I was, which didn't lead me to be disappointed the way I was with the first book when I wasn't emotionally invested the first time I read it, because I was able to switch gears way faster and to adjust my expectations. But that is to say, if you have a similar experience to me with the first book, probably be aware that it's gonna be similar with the second book as well, because there's one chapter or one part where everyone was tweeting, I'm here now, I'm devastated, I'm crying, I'm sobbing, whatever. I, until the very end, didn't shed a tear. I think there was one point where I somewhat almost teared up, but didn't quite tear up. But, you know, the pressure behind the eyes type thing. But I didn't cry in this book personally, which isn't a failing of the book, because again, it's just kind of how I experience these books. But because I was able to adjust my expectations way faster, I didn't end up giving this 3 stars. I ended up giving it 4 stars. However, with this one, I do think that even on a reread, I won't give it 5 stars. And the reason for that is, as I said, the narrative choices. I don't think the narrative choices are bad. However, I do think that the narrative choices aren't what I personally would have preferred. And it's kind of hard to go into it because it's fully spoiler territory. But for me, the ending was actually somewhat a little bit too abrupt. I didn't think that it fit what it was building up towards. It was kind of this very funny thing because one character arc came to an end, and I was like, I'm really unhappy with how this character arc came to an end. But then there were a lot of things done with themes and with how the characters were talking to each other, and I was like, oh, okay, in terms of how the themes are done, this actually makes sense how this is done now. But then the other 2 character arcs came to an end differently to the themes, and I was just not a fan with how it was done. But when you look at it from another perspective, it also makes sense again. So I wasn't bothered by it. It just wasn't how I wanted the story to end. I tried to keep it as vague as possible right now. Aside from that, however, once again, the thing that really shines in this book is the exploration of gender identity, of confrontation of gender with each other. We, in this book, finally get Oh Young and Chu interacting a lot more, which brings a lot of those gender discussions to the foreground more, because obviously those 2 are the 2 characters that are kind of in between genders, both being assigned a gender at birth. However, through the circumstances of their growing up, kind of floating in a space of betweenness of the genders, or genderlessness right now. So those just absolutely stellar once again. Also, once again, Shelley Parker Chan's writing is gorgeous, beautiful, lyrical. I love the way they paint pictures with their words. It's just absolutely incredible. And so I do think, I think if you enjoyed book 1, you will enjoy book 2. I think if you were hesitant about book 1, I would maybe reread book 1 and then give book 2 a chance. If you struggled with book 1, I don't necessarily think that you need to pick up book 2. I don't necessarily think that maybe the writing style is for you, or the storytelling, or whatever. So I think it's just very much a case of, you know, the way you felt about book 1, the way you will feel about book 2. And so, yeah, I don't know, most people were really happy with the ending. So I think my struggles with the ending and with the way themes were dealt with is just a personal thing. And so that's it already for this review. Very short, very quick. Usually I ramble on for longer, but my battery is also blinking, so let me do the ending spiel. Share all your thoughts, as always, in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media, as well as to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, where I read one adult fantasy book written by a woman or genderqueer person, will be linked down below, so go and check those out. And I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!